So we've got 9:58, just got 2 minutes until we start. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this special meeting of the Douglas Shire Council being held on Tuesday, the 30th of June 2020 at the Mosman Council Chambers. I hereby give notice that in accordance with the Section 277E of the Local Government Regulations 2012, that the special meeting of Council will be closed to the public because of health and safety reasons associated with the public health emergency involving COVID-19. The special meeting of Council will be available to view via live stream on Council's website and will be available for others to watch at a later time. I'd like to acknowledge the Kuku-Yalanji people who are the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I'd also like to pay respect to their elders, both past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to Indigenous Australians who may be listening or watching our meeting this morning. Attendances, I can see that all councillors are here. Thank you very much. We also have our CEO here, and we have Miss Colleen here at the front as well, because most of these things today are involving her. And I'd also like to welcome, we've got the members of the press in for the first time since this new council, so welcome members of the press here. I will ask if any councillors like to declare a conflict of interest in this session of the special meeting. No? All right, then we shall go on to our agenda items. So the first one for today, item 3.1, adoption of the differential general rates for the financial year 2021. The Council resolves to pursue under Section 81 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, the categories in which the rateable land is categorised and the description of those categories, and pursuant to Section 81-4, 81-5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the method of which the land is to be identified and included in its appropriate categories as follows. The list shows through the categories of the residentials, etc. If I could get a mover to that, please. Councillor Scomerson. And a seconder. Councillor McEwen. Councillor Scomerson, since you moved that, would you like to say anything about it?
I think that Tara and her staff have done a great job. It's the only thing I have with this is what I'd like to know is that the proposed discount that we are going to give our ratepayers, is that a right across the board to all ratepayers of this Shire, including our farmers that are capped at 20%. It is. Great, thank you. That's all.
Cool. Anyone wish to speak against the motion? Any other comments from councillors? Ms. Colleen, anything you have to say about it?
Through the Mayor, no, I think the report speaks to it, so thank you.
Okay, so we'll put that one to the vote. All in favour? And that's carried. All right, so procedural ones here. 3.2, the Mowbray Valley Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2020-2021. Reads, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, the Council make a levy and a special charge to be known as the Mowbray Valley Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge of $50 per assessment on all rateable land to which the overall plan applies, to annually fund the Mowbray Valley Rural Fire Brigade. If I can get a mover on this one, please. Councillor Nolly. Seconder. Councillor Zanataro. Councillor Nolly, would you like to say anything to this one?
No, thank you. That's, as every year, it's the same type of thing.
Anyone against the motion? No. Any other comments? Then we'll put that one to the vote then. All those in favour? And that's carried. 3.3, the Daintree Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2021, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, make a levy a special charge to be known as the Daintree Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge of $15 per assessment on all rateable land to which the overall plan applies to annually fund the Daintree Rural Fire Brigade. If I can get a mover on that one, please. Councillor Scomerson. Seconder, Councillor Noley. Councillor Scomerson, do you wish to make any comments?
No.
No. Anyone against the motion? No. Any other comments? All right, put that one to the vote. All those in favour? And that's carried. .4, Thornton Peak Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2021. Pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, Council make and levy a special charge to be known as the Thornton Peak Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge of $8 per assessment on all rateable land to which the overall plan applies to annually fund the Thornton Peak Rural Fire Brigade. If I could have a mover, please, on that one. Councillor Noley, a seconder. Councillor Scomerson. Any comments? Anyone against? Okay, we'll put that one to the vote then. Those in favour, and that's carried. 3.5, Wonga Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2021, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulations 2012. Council make a levy and special charge to be known as the Wonga Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge of $35 per assessment on all rateable land to which the overall plan applies to annually fund the Wonga Rural Fire Brigade. If I could have a mover on that one, please. Councillor Zamataro, and seconded by Councillor Scomerson. Any comments? Anyone against the motion? All those in favour of the motion? And that's carried. 3.6, the Bloomfield River Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge 2021. Again, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, Council make a levy and a special charge to be known as the Bloomfield River Rural Fire Brigade Special Charge of $25 per assessment on all rateable land to which the overall plan applies to annually fund the Bloomfield River Rural Fire Brigade. If I could have a mover on that one, please. Councillor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Scomerson. Any comments? Anyone against? Put that one to the vote, please. All in favour, so that's carried. All right, 3.7, Refuse Special Charge 2021. Pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, Council make and levy a special charge to be known as the Special Refuse Charge of $197.50 on the rateable land identified in this resolution for the purpose of contributing to the costs of operation and maintenance of the Cow Bay, Daintree, Killaloe and Ayton transfer stations as follows, which the document reads. If I could have a mover on that one, please. Councillor Zamataro, seconder. Councillor Noley. Councillor Zamataro, would you like to make any comments? No. Anyone against? Any other comments? All right, we'll put that one to the vote then, please. All in favour? And that's carried. .8, Utility Charges and Associated Rating Matters 2021. Pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 99 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, Council make a levy cleansing utility charges for the supply and waste management services by Council as follows, which document goes through the various different categories. If I could have a mover on that one, please. Councillor Scomerson, and seconded by Councillor McEwen. Any comments? Anyone against? All those in favour of the motion? And that's carried. 3.9, Statement of Estimated Financial Positions 2019 to 2020. Point 1, pursuant to Section 205 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, the statement of the financial operations and the financial position of the Council in respect of the 2019-2020 financial year, the statement of estimated financial position, be received and its contents noted. And point 2, the financial report for the period ending 31st of May 2020 be noted. If I can have a mover on that, please. Councillor Scomerson. And seconded by Councillor Zamataro. Councillor Scomerson, would you like to make any comments to that? Since you
No, it looks really good, and the staff have really done a great job with all this.
Thank you. Anyone against? Any further comments by councillors? No. Ms. Colleen, would you like to say anything about the report?
Through the Mayor, just to note, it's all in the report, but the operating surplus as at the end of May is ahead of the budgeted surplus. However, then when you look forward to the statement of estimated financial position, obviously that has turned around because of the COVID effects. Probably not much more to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Colleen. Yes, and thank you to you and your staff for the amazing job that you do keeping all the figures in line for us.
Actually, sorry, I have a question.
Yes, please, Councillor.
Ms. Colleen, what would your estimate be about the total effects of COVID in that $1.4 million deficit?
I would say that had COVID not come along, we would have come very close, if not achieved our surplus. So it's the vast majority of the impact.
All right, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Right, 3.10, Annual Budget 2021. Pursuant to Section 107A of the Local Government Act 2009 and Sections 169 and 170 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, Council's budget for the 2021 financial year incorporating the Statement of Income and Expenditure, the Statement of Financial Position, the Statement of Cash Flow, the Statement of Changes in Equity, the Long-Term Financial Forecast, the relevant measures of financial sustainability, budgeted sources and application of capital funding, budgeted movement in reserves, budgeted rates and utility charges, capital works program, the total value of the change and expressed as a percentage in the rates and utility charges levied for the financial year compared with the rates and the utility charges levied in the previous budget, the revenue statement and the revenue policy adopted by Council Resolution on the 26th of May 2020 as the table be adopted. I'm going to move this motion today. If I can have a seconder, please. Councillor Scomerson. I'd like to start by thanking you, Ms. Colleen, and your team, of course, for the work that you've all completed on this very difficult budget. There's an incredible amount of time and effort that goes into these budget reports, and the acknowledgement of that work and to the whole team is paramount. I'm proud to table this council's first budget since being elected, with the people of the Douglas Shire voting to steer the region in a new direction. What I believe is a responsible direction of increased transparency, sensible investment, and a need to strengthen the Shire's economy, all things that we can look forward to seeing this term. COVID-19 lockdown restrictions may have depleted our local economy, but I'm determined to build resilience in the face of adversity. For the past 6 years, this council followed a plan of financial sustainability by driving towards a budget of surplus, unfortunately a dubious goal that fell short. Douglas Shire is as vulnerable as it is beautiful. Whether it is any of the recent natural disasters or global pandemic, our entire region buckles when our tourism sector falters. Businesses shut their doors, unemployment escalates, and people leave the region. Economists are predicting that up to 1,500 jobs and over $150 million could be lost from our local economy by the time they crunch the numbers of the June quarter in the coming days. Now is the time for sensible policy and investment to build our resistance to the outside influences. I believe we can do this by growing our rate base, diversifying industry, and exploring revenue-raising opportunities. This budget is the start of that process. Over the next 12 months, Council will deliver its largest ever budgeted capital works program with a focus on renewing and upgrading infrastructure as we build our way out of COVID-19 and expect this to grow as further grant funding becomes available. A total of just over $21 million worth of investment will see $12.5 million spent on civil work projects such as roads, footpaths, bridges and drains, and a further $5 million pumped into improving the Shire's water and wastewater infrastructure. It is clear that this council has an important role to play in keeping our local economy moving, and this program lets us focus on providing essential services to our community. Council will also dedicate $1.4 million on public spaces and sporting infrastructure. While we have prioritised investment in essential infrastructure, we have made sure there is a collection of projects that our community can also be proud of. You can also expect to see more workers on the ground with extra funds allocated for outdoor crews to get the important tasks done. Offering the required level of service, along with the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, Council's financial position is now expected to be pushed back to a $3.7 million operating deficit. But this is not the time for this council to be chasing a quick surplus with unreasonable rate rises. Now is the time for creating jobs, repairing infrastructure, and ensuring our economy becomes stronger through progress. Council will do this while finding alternative revenue streams to ensure ratepayers do not continue to wear the burden over the next many years. We are facing uncharted territory, but we are committed to getting the Shire back on track through growth and diversity rather than cutbacks and reductions. The responsible budget keeps Council financially viable without imposing any unreasonable increases and, most importantly, while stimulating its economy. As promised in this budget, the general rates and utilities have been capped at CPI level of 2.2%, and as a COVID assistance offer, we will introduce a 1.2% general rates discount for those that pay their rates before the due date. This added discount will keep an estimated $140,000 in the pockets of ratepayers. Over the next 12 months, we will continue to explore revenue-raising opportunities and fully investigate how rates are calculated across this Shire to ensure that in the future years we'll bring back fairness and a balance to all ratepayers. So I'm happy to have moved this motion. If there's anyone that would like to speak against the motion, please.
Thank you, Oliver.
Councillor Nolly.
Okay, sorry, my computer's playing up a bit. Just give me a second. Okay. Thank you. I believe this is a year to say, bring things back to the basics. As a nation, we are hurting, but here in Douglas is one of the worst hit and most greatly affected shires in Australia because of the COVID pandemic. We all know the big picture story of the impacts, but the local responses to COVID need to be nuanced for every area, and I'll give you some data about Douglas. Far North Queensland economy will experience a substantial fall in the June quarter, and this is above the Queensland average and likely to last longer than the rest of Queensland. Douglas is reported to have the second highest impact in Queensland due to COVID, and this is due to the heavy reliance on the tourism and hospitality. As visitation drops, so the resulting decline in tourism and tourist numbers. It has a ripple effect on supply chain industries. Job losses in Far North Queensland are estimated at 10,700, with another 8,600 supported by JobSeeker. So when JobSeeker ends, Cairns and Port Douglas have seen the largest percentage increase of people accessing unemployment benefits, more than double the state average. There's a real threat of youth disengagement over an extended period of time, and Douglas is estimated to be the second worst in Queensland. And this last very super important point is the length of time to the bounce back is our real challenge from COVID. Comparison of economic growth for the Far North Queensland region of the growth up to the global financial crisis was 8 years. This time, it is an estimated 5 years before visitation numbers revert to pre-COVID numbers. So, and I'll speak to this later on, this is why TBD is important, but I'll get to that. I've received many thanks for the community for Councillor Zemataras and mine voting for the fees and charges budget to have 0% increase. And Cairns has shown that they can do the same. I believe that the impact of COVID has really yet to hit home. At the moment, nobody seems to have any big money. The people with a little money are cautious, and there are many people with no money. Coming off de-amalgamation in 2014, Douglas Shire Council had a 0% rate rise, and I think we must do the same today. Our JobKeeper finishes September, and when that finishes, I'm scared that there will be a big effect here in Douglas than other shires. Small businesses that up until now have managed to continue may actually close their doors permanently in September. Australia's in a recession, and people in Douglas struggle, not only for the big bills, but they struggle for every dollar. I believe we need to cut this budget back to the basics, back to the basics, back to the basics. Let's be leaders, and let's be strategic for the long-term betterment of the Shire. And let's be realistic too. This year, we must have a 0% rate rise. It can be done, and I believe that this time next year, we could actually be in a worse situation. I want to see more caution with this budget. So we have gone from an estimated surplus that should have been this year, due to COVID, of course, to a negative 1.4. That's how we start this financial year. Next year is estimated to be finished at $3.7 million in debt. I don't believe that there are any, I believe that there's no real leadership shown, no concrete ideas, no hard decisions being made. There is no vision, no strategy. I want, as a leader, to show the path that we must be taking. Voting for this budget, I believe that I'm breaking my declaration of oath as a councillor. The declaration that we took when we were sworn in was to abide by the local government principles, and the principles of our job description were, I swore to be transparent and effective processes and decision-making in the public interest. And I swore for sustainable development and management of assets and infrastructure and delivery of effective services. And I swore for democratic representation, social inclusion and meaningful community engagement. And I swore for good governance and by local government. That was my promise. And I believe that if we vote for this budget, we are not doing those local government principles. I will not vote for it.
Thank you, Councillor Nolly. Anyone else like to speak to the motion? Yes, Councillor Zamatara.
Through you, Mayor Kirk. Look, as I mentioned, the fees and charges, I believe the same should apply to the rates, and we should freeze any rise in the 2021 financial year. Businesses and families are struggling financially, and they will be for some time recovering from COVID-19. We can't use the argument it's only a small rise, as a few dollars is a considerable amount of money for families that are struggling and businesses who have lost their income stream. People are struggling to pay mortgages, putting food on the table, and the last thing they need is to find extra money to pay their rates. I believe this is achievable by council if, as a council for now, we curb our spending and concentrate on what's necessary to keep Douglas operational. With the financial climate we're in, it's not a good idea for council to be raising the rates at this point in time. I think they should be frozen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Zamatari. Any other councillors like to? Sorry,
I would like to commend. Would like to commend Ms. Colleen and her staff on the job they've done. It's a great report. But I just don't believe in the rise.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Councillor Scompson.
I understand, what we're going through at the moment, and I do agree with Councillor Nolly and Councillor Zamatara that people are doing it really tough at the moment. But we have to look at it as a positive side. Everyone's going through the same thing. It's not just the Douglas Shire, it's the whole of Australia and the world. So to look at this positively, I think this is a time that this Shire can reshape exactly what it's doing. It's quite obvious that we rely way too much on tourism in the Shire, and we need to open our doors now for other types of revenue to come into this town, other businesses and other types of ventures that people can offer to this Shire. So, yeah, we're all going through it. No, it's not a discriminative thing, this COVID-19, and I just think that we need to start looking for a future in the Shire, maybe down other tracks, not rely so much on tourism, because tourism has really shown that it's not viable for this Shire.
Councillor McEwen.
I agree with Roy and Abigail and Lisa. I've put out there just questioning people on the effects that this, what I call a minimal rise, will have on them. Doing the sums, for example, one storekeeper in Port Douglas, who's actually closed at the moment, they calculated that it would be an extra 50 cents per day on top of the rates that they're paying their landlord now. I think it's important that we continue to keep the capital works and keep spending, because it's about the only thing that's happening in the area. You can see federal and state government as well, they're pumping a lot of money into different expenses, roadworks, etc. And the communication I've had with the ratepayers I've spoken to, they understand that there should be a rate rise, or there has to be a rate rise to get the economy going again from council's point of view. And otherwise, if we become stagnant, if the whole shire becomes stagnant without any of the council works, it's not a good position. I understand that the effects it's having on everyone, including myself in business, but I support the increase as a minimal, sensible increase.
Thank you, Councillor McEwen. Ms. Colleen, would you like to speak at all to your report?
Through the Mayor, our rates increase was held to CPI in the report, based on a 3.3% rate rise for the next 10 years. We would actually recover to a surplus at around year 8. If we were to not increase rates at all, the dollar impact would be $668,000. So the deficit would go from 3.68 million to 4.35 million, and it would take much longer than 10 years to bring it back into surplus. There would also be a ripple effect on our capital works. We would have to actually cut back on our capital works budget as well, because we need to maintain liquidity level. The QTC recommends that we maintain 3 months OPEX operational expenditure, that is approximately $12 million at the moment on hand at any one point in time. So if we were to actually increase the deficit, that will put pressure on, and we would have to actually decrease the capital works program. I think that's all I have to comment on at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, councillors, for your comments. I think we all agree that people are doing it hard at the moment, and I certainly, appreciate the tourism aspect, especially at the moment, is doing it very hard. And I think that's, where this budget is driven towards creating employment through other areas, will possibly be one of the godsends to keep people employed in this region. We're looking at tourism being quite a few years before it kicks back in again. And, we have to keep people in this place employed, and we also have to maintain a basic standard. We need to keep our parks, our gardens, our roads, all those council assets up to a standard. So when tourism does kick back in again, we have a great place for them to come to. Now, if we cut back on all those things now, before we know it, tourism will be kicking back in, and we won't have anything ready to give to them. So I think it's really important that we do our infrastructure, we keep people employed at the moment, and we move forward as a council without putting ourselves in too much financial duress. If there's no further comments, I'll put it to the vote then, please. All those in favour? Councillor McEwen, Councillor Scomson, Councillor Kerr. All those against? Councillor Nolly, Councillor Zamataro. Motion carried. And that concludes the special meeting this morning. There's anything else on the...
No.
So we'll call this meeting closed at 10:28, and we shall be back at